All right. Good evening and welcome everybody. My name is Roxanne Preston. I'm the Associate Registrar for Admissions, Recruitment, and Scholarships for Memorial University, and I work on the St. John's campus. Um, and I'm going to be the moderator for this session. And this session is about Canadian applicants whose curriculum is not from Newfoundland, about admission for those applicants. If you have come into the wrong room, that's perfectly fine. If you want to hop out and attend another session, you certainly can. You can just leave the breakout room and just pick another session that you were hoping for. Or if you wanted to visit this session and visit another one, you can come and go as well. So please feel free to move around if you want to. So I do want to thank you very much for taking some time out of your busy schedules to join us this evening and to learn a little bit more about Memorial University. So let's begin the session by first I'm going to introduce you to the representatives from our admissions and student recruitment office who will be here to give a brief presentation and to answer all your questions that you might have about Memorial's undergraduate programs. I'll introduce the two panelists that we have with us today and give them a chance to explain their positions at the university. And then we'll move on into the session itself. So we have with us today Jen Dion, and Jen is from our student recruitment office. I don't know, Jen, if you want to give a little brief introduction for yourself.
Yeah, for the folks who were just in the last session, probably know a little bit about me now, but I am Jen. I am from the St. John's campus student recruitment office. I specifically do domestic recruitment, and I spend most of my recruitment time in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. I am originally from Nova Scotia, so I guess that kind of makes sense. And otherwise, we're just going to be here chatting about the Canadian admissions, as Roxanne kind of said. But I think now, Michelle, did you want to introduce yourself a little bit as well?
Sure. Hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michelle Honeygold, and I work in the admissions office. I'm an assistant registrar, and I make the general admission decisions for Canadian applicants who are applying from outside of Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm also the assistant registrar for the School of Music, so that means I'm the registrar's representative for the School of Music. So I'm not involved with the admissions process for the School of Music, but I can certainly answer some questions and help you along with your application for the School of Music. And
Excellent.
I'm also, one more thing I'll
Yeah,
point
go
out
ahead.
while I'm on to go. I'm also the convener for the University Committee on Admissions. And this is a Senate committee that looks after appeals for anyone who doesn't meet the admission requirements from high school. If they have an extenuating circumstance and they want to make an appeal, the appeal will go through the committee, and I'm the convener for the committee, so I will be in contact with you about that process. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Excellent. So before we turn it over to our presenters, I just wanted to give you a couple of housekeeping items, just I've been asked to mention. Your microphones and your video are turned off, so you're muted, just so that we can make sure that the session runs well and we don't get slowed down by video content or anything like that. So the session will carry on. But if you do have questions, the whole purpose of this session is to make sure that we get the questions that you may have answered. You can post them in the chat. So post them in the question and answers. Make sure you address it to everyone or to all panelists so that we can see the question. And then I'll pose the question to the presenters as we go throughout the session. Again, as we said, today's session is focused on Canadian applicants who didn't do a Newfoundland curriculum. So we'll try to keep the questions related to those, but we'll try to answer whatever you may have. And if you do have questions and we don't get to them, don't worry. Like, just if you post something in the chat or direct message us, we'll certainly make sure that you get an answer. If not this evening, then tomorrow sometime. All right, so I'm going to turn this over to Jen and Michelle.
Awesome. I'm just going to throw up the presentation. Awesome. Can everyone see that okay?
Yep, looks good.
Perfect. All right, folks. So jumping right in. This is primarily going to focus on Canadian admissions for St. John's and Grenfell campus. The programs are going to primarily cover the St. John's campus alone. But if you're looking for either of those things, that's what we'll be touching on today. We'll also go into the application and what it looks like and the steps involved in that throughout the session. All right. So a little bit about us at Memorial is we do have a total of 6 different campuses right across Newfoundland and Labrador, with a bonus campus over in England called Harlow. Of course, St. John's campus, which I'm based out of, as well as Michelle, we naturally we are based out of St. John's, so St. John's campus is in St. John's makes sense. We also have Marine Institute, which is in St. John's as well, and we'll touch on them a little bit in a minute. And Grenfell campus is over on the west coast of Newfoundland in Corner Brook, and then we also have a campus over in Happy Valley, Goose Bay, and Labrador. Right across those 6 campuses, we do have 300 programs between graduate and undergraduate programs both, but we'll just be touching on those undergraduate programs here today. And all told, we have about 19,000 students in total across those 6 total campuses. And we still hold a 16:1 faculty to student ratio, which is pretty decent. Doesn't necessarily always mean that you'll end up in a class with 16 students, but you'll end up seeing a decent range between like maybe 100 or so to my smallest class being like 3 students at one point. So it depends on what program you're in, what you're studying, and what the class size is for that particular class, of course. All right. So a little bit about both Grenfell and Marine. Respectively, the rest of the student population divided by our campuses is that Grenfell campus is about 1,300 students or so, and has about 17 different programs to choose from at that particular campus. So it is a relatively smaller campus if you're looking for that lifestyle. But if you're still looking for marine-related programs or living in St. John's specifically, Marine Institute has about 20 different programs there for you, and they also are a little bit on the smaller side with around 1,200 students or so. All right, here is our lovely St. John's campus, which is where I am based out of. And we have around 1,400 students at this particular campus, with around I'm gonna say just under 60 buildings. I think it's like 58 or something like that. St. John's is is actually the capital of Newfoundland and Labrador. So we're kind of like the central like hub, I guess, to the province, but that doesn't mean there isn't lots of really great stuff right across the province, as you know, we have campuses elsewhere as well. So St. John's has lots of things going on, broadly speaking. So if you're looking for lots of different cultural experiences, all the amenities of a city, but within St. John's campus specifically, we do have lots of lovely opportunities and things to do, places to see. All right. So digging into these programs here just at St. John's campus, I want to address a couple of things to start, of which these terms are on the page. So direct entry, what does that mean? So direct entry means that these programs are programs that you can apply to directly out of high school. So you don't need any additional high school education beyond like high school. So no post-secondary required to be able to apply into these programs specifically. So whatever you get in high school can be a component of applying into direct entry programs. Within that, we kind of have these 2 different categories, which is general admission and competitive admission. And it's less so a category, it is more so guidelines to help you figure out what you need for each of these, or what we want to see from your admissions process, I guess. So general admissions is what all students need to meet. So regardless of what you're applying for, you do need to meet that general admissions to start. But some programs, like competitive programs, might have a limited number of seats in their program, so they have a limiting factor, which might be additional requirements, or they have to be a little bit more selective with the applicants because they'll get more applicants than they have seats. But you still need to meet general admission requirements, maybe with an additional set of requirements on top of that for those competitive ones specifically. So falling under general, we do have business, humanities, and social sciences, as well as science. Within competitive, we do see nursing, engineering, human kinetics, recreation, and music. Now, let's take a little bit of a look closer at these. So within business, you can, at the St. John's campus specifically, we have the commerce and commerce co-op options. So within the structure of your program, what we'll see is Bachelor of Commerce typically takes 4 years under full-time studies, whereas Commerce Co-op is 5 years under full-time studies. Because of that work term or that paid internship position that you'll be doing as part of your program. So it does take a little bit longer, but you do get that really great work experience. You can also do joint program in business with music as well. Humanities and social sciences, that would be your Bachelor of Arts. Most people would recognize that as your program. But we also have the International Bachelor of Arts. So within a Bachelor of Arts, we have a very large selection of majors. There's about 26 of them that you can choose from. So depending on what your interest area is, it's pretty darn flexible. It typically takes about 4 years to complete if you're doing your full-time studies. And majors that I like to shout out in particular, because I mean, I'm a little bit biased. I did English, I did gender studies within a Bachelor of Arts, but I also had a really great time in things like folklore. I think linguistics was pretty neat. And other ones are things like criminology, modern languages, law and public policy, lots of really great stuff to choose from. Within a Bachelor of Science, also takes about typically 4 years within full-time studies as well. And we do also offer many different major options within a Bachelor of Science. Right across the board, I would say within a Bachelor of Science, you don't declare your major upon entry. So do keep that in mind. Your program typically requires you to complete 10 courses before applying into your major for science. Some science majors are competitive, and those do have overlap with some arts majors. So say things like psychology, computer science, those ones particularly are competitive. So you do need those 10 courses within a Bachelor of Science to start to then apply into that major. But other ones that I do like to shout out within science as well are things like marine biology. I also like to point towards like ocean science because marine biology and ocean science tend to be programs that students tend to suss out and try to choose between. And of course, as I said before, like psych, computer science, all that jazz, of course. All right, next up, we're taking a look at nursing and engineering, aged care, and music, as these ones are all our competitive programs. They're all direct entry, of course. So nursing, the reason that nursing is competitive is because they want to see some specific courses from applicants. So you want to have your chem, your bio, your math at the grade 12 level if you're applying right up high school. They also want to in the past, they've wanted to see some additional documents, but at the moment, the personal statement is optional. So if you're looking to include that, that's also potentially part of your application. Within engineering, engineering is a total of a 5-year program. You would apply into what's called Engineering 1 as your starting point. And then after that 1 year of study, you typically study in your major for 4 additional years to come out as 5. We do have 7 different majors within engineering. They are listed here for you. We do have a new one that did come online not too long ago, which was Mechatronics. So I'd like to shout that one out in particular, but all the other ones are awesome and great nonetheless. Within human kinetics and recreation, we have kinesiology, physical education, recreation, human kinetics recreation, the co-op option. So if you're looking to do that work experience, you can. Human kinetics recreation is competitive as there are lots of applicants and not a ton of seats spread out among all of these programs. So they typically want to see a really high average coming out of high school. But don't get too discouraged if you don't get in on your first application. That's a common route for some students who aren't always, applying in right out of high school. You can go and do a 1 year of study and then apply in later after that year. So don't get too stressed about it. It is, both are totally valid options. Within music is competitive due to a performance piece. So you want to be able to prepare a performance for as an audition to apply into music. We do have a bunch of different majors here for music in particular, and the folks over at music are really awesome, and they always convince me that I should have done music, even though I'm the least musical person that I know. So shout out to music for being very convincing. All right. On the other side of the road, we have non-direct entry programs. So that's basically the opposite of direct entry within reason. So that basically means that you do need some level of university experience to apply into these programs. And all of them, as you can see, are competitive also. So there is a limited number of seats in all of these programs as well. Education for primary elementary, they want to see at least 2 years of studies, and at the undergraduate level specifically, and intermediate secondary. So you're looking to teach high school. That one, they want to see a full bachelor degree first. Social work you can do as a first or second degree. So you can get a full bachelor degree first and then do social work, or you can do it as a first degree by studying for 1 year and then applying into social work with your 10 courses. Pharmacy, likewise, they want to see at least 1 year of study at the undergraduate level. Typically, students start off in a Bachelor of Science, do those 10 courses, and then apply into pharmacy. And then it works out to be the remainder of your program within pharmacy, pending your acceptance. Within medicine, they want to see a full bachelor degree first. It can be in any area of study. It doesn't have to be specifically science, as that is a general misconception about medicine. Many students choose things like music, human kinetics recreation, arts degrees, whatever. You do what you like. It's an open opportunity. All right. So we're on to our undergraduate admissions info. So this is kind of the nitty gritty of, I guess, the point of this presentation, right? So I would say this is where Michelle likes to specialize. And of course, this is what I chat about on a day-to-day basis with many students. So regardless of what province you are right across Canada, we're going to want to see a 70% overall average in these 5 areas of study. So that's not an overall average in your high school graduation average. This is an overall average in only those 5 areas listed. So that's your English, your math, your lab science, your social science, and your electives. I'll show you a little bit more about how to navigate to the right pages to find the specifics for these, but it's on our website at mun.ca/undergrad. You're going to see the breakdown in each category that will tell you what courses fall into each section. We are looking specifically for your grade 12 credits within this structure, so keep that in mind as well. And within that, make sure that you are fulfilling those requirements within all of your capabilities from each one of those categories. So within that, I think that's a decent coverage. Is there anything else you wanted to add to this one, Michelle? I know that I wanted to just touch base with you before I moved on past this slide.
Yeah, I think we'll probably get into more discussions a little bit later on. So I guess, carry on.
Perfect. All right. So before we move on, the last thing I do want to say is that for the folks outside of Newfoundland, you do want to make sure that you have your transcripts to be sent in from either your guidance counselors or your principals, whoever is the person who does send that off from your specific high school, from let's say that official transcript from them. So it doesn't necessarily, it's not a scan of it from you. Make sure that those official transcripts are from the issuing authority. All right. For folks who are looking for scholarships, all of our scholarships are automatically assessed when you apply. So there's no extra work for you at all. You just apply for whatever program you're interested in. So any one of the ones that were the direct entry ones right out of high school, you're going to get assessed for these scholarships. So for our domestic students, they range anything from an 85 and above. And we do recommend checking out scholarships.ca so that you can, there's a guide there to help calculate your average so that you can see roughly what you would be looking for in scholarships. And of course, the monetary amounts range anywhere from $500 right up to $6,000. And those monetary amounts are guaranteed based on those averages. As long as you're getting your application in on time by the deadline for scholarships, which is outlined on the scholarship page as well. So keep up to date by navigating your way there. And we're going to move right along to our deadlines. So naturally, our programs have deadlines. Some of them are a little bit more rigid than others. So programs like music, nursing, fine arts over at Grenfell, Engineering 1, Human Kinetics and Recreation, they have a bit of a harder deadline, which is why there is a specific date assigned to those. So with music coming up a little bit on the earlier side in January, as well as nursing in a little bit later on in January on the 20th, February 1st for fine arts, and March 1st for Engineering 1 and Human Kinetics Recreation. Whereas the priority deadline for the remaining programs listed there, which are arts, International Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, and Business 1 all alike. You can apply for those programs post March 1st, but we do recommend applying before March 1st to be able to give you the best opportunity for things like scholarships, applying for residence, your early offer of admission, all that jazz. It's definitely helpful and beneficial for us and for you to get your applications in for those programs in advance of that March 1st deadline, even though it is a little bit more flexible. All right. So on to what next? What are we doing? You can, if you're looking to follow along with us, we're going to just take a look at the steps and the application as we go. If you want to navigate to mun.ca/undergrad, that is the starting page that we're going to go on, but you're welcome to just follow along as well, whatever you think is better for your learning style, I suppose. All right. So now I'm going to walk you through the process that we have laid out on our website. There is it is nice to see it in real time, but if you need to visit the webpage at any point, you can always navigate to the mun.ca/undergrad, because that's kind of like our one-stop shop for all this information. So from this launch page here, you're going to want to check out the admissions tab at the top that my little arrow is pointing to, which is going to bring you to our undergraduate admissions and programs page, where we will have an apply button there. There's also lots of other handy tools on this page as well. So if you're looking to chat with us and whatnot, you can do so right off that page as well. But we'll be following the apply button from here on out, which will bring us to our first step. So what you want to do is take a look at our programs page, see if there's something that I chatted about with you earlier on in this presentation. If something within that resonated with you, the programs page is a really great resource to see what all of the requirements are for each of the programs respectively. It goes over the length of the program, what campus the program is offered at, even a list of some example careers that some students can find themselves within when they pursue those programs. So it's just a really great resource for you folks to look at and explore your options. But as we kind of said in the first half of this, is like, you have lots of options to explore. So if you're not 100% certain what that is, that's okay too. But I really recommend checking it out nonetheless. Step 2 is to, of course, review those deadlines. So I did show you a good outline of those deadlines, but we keep all of our deadlines posted and updated on our deadlines page that is linked here. So where you can go check our general admission deadlines, but at the bottom of the page, some students forget to scroll right down to the bottom, as those ones will all be the specific deadlines for every single program that falls outside of general admission. So all of those competitive programs have a little breakdown of when their deadlines are expected as well. So just a heads up there that the bottom of the page does have more information. Keep scrolling. All right. Next up, you're going to want to check your admission requirements. And because naturally this is the Canadian admissions session, I'm going to point you towards the Canadian admission requirements page so that you can go to your respective province page and take a look at what we need from you from your grade 12 required courses. And that is going to look a little bit like this. So what you'll see is a list of provinces, naturally, and territories right across Canada. And you want to click on the respective one for you. For our example today, I just threw up the one from Nova Scotia because I, of course, am a little bit biased being from Nova Scotia. I thought that would be a fun one, as I am most familiar with those courses because they're the ones that I did take. And it's always fun to talk about what you know best, I guess. From here, I'm going to say that I'm clicking on the Nova Scotia one. To see at this point is a lovely table for you folks with those general admission requirements for that province. So in this case, Nova Scotia is going to show you, of course, those 5 areas of study that we were talking about a couple slides earlier. So that English, that math, that lab science, that social sciences, and those electives, and it's breaking down specifically what you're looking for in this curriculum. So if you're looking for any other province, let's say you're looking for Ontario, you would see likewise an example of these that reflected your curriculum specifically. So the names of those specific courses that you would be taking, you would see listed. Michelle, is there anything that you want to shout out on this particular page?
Not specifically, but well, there is one point I guess I could make. This is not an exhaustive list. There may be other courses that are offered at your school that are not listed on this. So if you are taking something else and you want to ask if that would meet the requirement, by all means, send us an email and let us know what courses you're taking, and if they're not listed there, and we'll let you know if we're going to accept that course for the specific what specific category of admission, like whether we'll take it as an elective or whether it'll be a social science. But you can check that out with us before you submit your application for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great point. And I mean, even you and I have had students who have reached out to me and pointed out certain courses that they were taking that they're like, hey, this should be here, or I feel that this should be here, and we've chatted and possibly have made those additions or changes as needed. So that's a really great tip for sure. So once you've reviewed those requirements and you're following along with them in your high school curriculum, you want to take a look over at the application. So our application is currently open for fall 2024. So if you're looking to apply for fall, it's awesome. We're ready to go for you. So you can start your application right off of this page. So again, this is the mon.ca/undergrad page. We're still kind of walking through this whole process. So just scroll down to number 4 and you'll see that create account or apply button. If you happen to have an account already, you can click the apply button. If you don't have if you don't have an account yet, you can click the create account, which is going to bring you to our admissions portal, which is at apply.mun.ca. And what you'll see is 2 options to create an account. And of course, you folks probably by now have created a bajillion accounts across like every platform that exists. So the process is pretty much identical to that. You go in, you put your name, your email address, a little bit of contact info, and then it will ask you via email to verify your account. So same old process. Once you get your application portal email all verified and ready to go, you'll be able to sign in and we will see the inside of the portal. So at the top, you'll see the My Account page is opened and your My Application session. So as you can see, there's like a bunch of them in here right now. Those are just a bunch of tests that I was playing with. But if you were looking to start a new application, you can create a new application by clicking the respective button. And if at any point you need help along the way, there is a little menu there for you to, rescue you if you have a couple questions. All right. So once you start a new application, what you'll see is the application listings page. So if you're looking for those programs at St. John's campus at Marine Institute, click on the undergraduate studies, all campuses drop-down menu, and that will show you lots of other great options for you. So make sure that you read this page quite thoroughly to make sure that you're clicking on the right buttons. So if you're a new or readmission student, so students who are applying right out of high school, you're going to want to make sure that you're clicking on that like Canadian citizen, permanent resident option within there. Just make sure that that applies to you. If you're more of like, if you're transferring from another post-secondary institution, make sure that you're looking at the transfer applicant side there and select the right application to go into. All right. So once we're into the application, you'll see the application that you're specifically in along the top. So as you can see, I selected the fall 2024 application for Business 1. You'll start off with just general information, your plan. So that's going to be a breakdown of what degree programs you plan on completing. There'll be some specific questions regarding that on that page. Personal and demographics, you're going to be answering those specific questions related to you as a applicant specifically. Next of kin is whoever you want to be your additional contact. If there's somebody that you would like to have added and consenting on your application, you can put them down. And then of course we're opened here onto the academic page, which is where you're going to put in and search up your high school. My tip would be to limit those that search by typing in your country and then limiting down by the school name so that you only find the results based on the country and province that you're searching in specifically. So that since we're Canadian folks, make sure that you put Canada down so that your high school shows up and not all of the high schools right across the world when you type in a general word. So let's say like if you're going to another school called Memorial, surely there's hundreds, if not thousands of other schools with that name in it. So just make sure that you limit it down so it's a little bit easier to find. All right. Once you've filled out all of the respective fields in your application, you're going to want to pay the application fee. And these are the respective application fees depending on the type of applicant you are. So for Canadian applicants who are applying into most programs, it will be 60 with the exception of those additional programs down at the bottom. So if you're looking for the music and the joint music down there, you'll have additional fees on top of that. All right, so back into the application. Once you reach the declaration, you'll be able to agree that everything that you've told us is indeed factual and true. And you'll be able to preview your application to just verify all of that information and then submit it, which is that's where you'll be prompted to pay the application fee as per the type of applicant that you are. All right, so once your application is submitted, awesome, done. But what happens after? So we do have a full page there, an info page that will walk you through that process of what happens after. So because you don't need all your transcripts ready to go or every single document ready to go the second you submit that application, there are steps that come after. So after you get your student number, you're going to want to make sure that that's what you're using for reference when you're submitting any of your documents, or if you're asking us any questions that we need to reference your application, that you use that student number that has been given to you. But this page will just kind of walk you through what those additional documents might be, depending on what you're looking for. It gives you just like a little bit of a timeline, next steps, anything you might need to know to get acquainted with the rest of this process. Because we don't want to just, have you apply and then be left in the dark all by yourself. We like answering your questions. So of course, if something is left unanswered, please ask us before, or if something doesn't seem right after you've submitted the application, let us know and we'll help you out. You can email us at admissions@mun.ca. I can probably throw that up in the chat there for you at the end after I'm out of the screen share. And here is the contact page. So if you're looking to get a hold of us, you can scan that QR code and fill out the form there. That will get you started and get you that account in the application. It'll help you with that process later on down the road. So if you're looking to apply, it would be a really great resource and get you contacted with us over in recruitment. And if you're looking for any of the other socials, we have those here as well. So I think we're at question time, Roxanne. Is there anything you wanted to add, Michelle, before we go into questions?
No, I think we'll launch right in.
Okay,
You
so that's
need a
great. So
break,
thanks.
Jen.
Yeah, thanks so much for all your information
Thank
there.
you.
It might be a little bit, might seem a lot to process, but we certainly it's just to get you start thinking about it. And we are here to help you through all those processes that we have been talking about. And like saying, there's lots of resources online to help you with it as well. So I'm just going to start you off with the first question. This is a question from a student. I'm still trying to decide between a competitive entry program and a general entry program. Do I have to apply for both? And do I have to pay application fees for both?
Well, first of all, I'll just talk about the admission, the way we do admissions at Memorial. It's if you're interested in a competitive entry program, it's kind of like a two-step process. So you would be applying to your competitive entry program, but when we process your application, we're going to add a second application on the system. So this is for high school students now. I'm speaking for students who are in high school who are applying to us directly. And they're applying to a competitive program like music or nursing. We will add, or engineering, that's another one, we'll add a general application on. So for example, if you're applying to engineering, we'll add a science application. If you're applying to music, we'll add usually it's an arts, Bachelor of Arts application. So what happens is you're considered for general admission first by the registrar's office. Once you meet that requirement, then your application is passed along to the faculty or school for their admissions committee to consider. So it's a two-step process. So if you don't get admitted to your competitive entry program, then you can always fall back on the general admission. So, and if the general admission program is not what you want, like for example, if you applied to music and you didn't get accepted to music, your general application is for Bachelor of Arts, you can always change that later if you wanted to Business One or Bachelor of Science or some other general program, if Bachelor of Arts wasn't what you wanted. Generally, we like to have any changes in the programs happen after the admission process is complete. So, once you have a verified admission, you're more than welcome to change your program to anything you are qualified for. And you can do that by contacting the registrar's office. But back to the question was about you would apply to your competitive entry program first. So that's the one if you're interested in the nursing or music or engineering or phys ed or kinesiology, any of these competitive programs, apply for that first, and we'll put on the general application and consider you for general admission first. So
And
I hope
Michelle,
that answers your question.
they asked about the application fee.
Oh, and the application fee, yes. So you're only going to be paying when you pay for that competitive entry program. That's a $60 application fee. And then the general application is put on by our office. There's no charge for that general application fee, general application. But if you were interested in multiple competitive entry programs, so for example, you wanted to apply for the Bachelor of Physical Education, as well as the Bachelor of Nursing, you would have to submit 2 separate applications, and there would be a $60 application fee associated with each of those applications. So just keep that in mind. You're welcome to apply as many programs as you like, but just be aware that there is a fee for each competitive program. And if you are undecided between 2 general programs, for example, say you are interested in business, but then you're also interested in Bachelor of Arts and you can't decide which one, you don't have to put in 2 applications. Please just put in 1, and you can go through the admission process with the 1 general application. And if you decide after your admission has been finalized that you would like to change your program to something else, from Business One to Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science, you can do that by contacting our office. And what gets changed at that point is not anything related to admissions. It's related to the record that you have with us, what we call the student record. So the student record will get updated with your current program. So normally the student record is generated when you gain admission to the university, and it reflects the program that you applied to. But that record can change depending on what your ultimate program is. So, for example, if you are applying to engineering and you get admission to Bachelor of Science, your general student record will say Bachelor of Science is your program. If you get admitted into engineering, then your record will get changed and your record will reflect that you were admitted into the competitive program of Bachelor of Engineering. So ultimately what's in our student system as your student record is the most important thing. So it's completely independent from admissions. So I don't want to get into complicated
That's
here
fine,
now.
yeah,
I think I'm going off the rails a little
It's
bit.
okay, yeah.
But I just wanted to make a distinction, I guess, between what you apply to and what is going to be in your student record.
What you're finally accepted into, right? Could be different, yeah. So we do have a question here. I want to know, I scrolled up on it now and I scroll down. What type of programs fall under the arts category, such as the ones for the joint Bachelor of Science and Arts? So Jen, did you
So
want
if
to?
you're doing a joint degree, you're going to get 2 degrees at the end of the day. So they're two, you have to follow the regulations for Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science. And I guess there's some, concessions made so the 2 degrees can be done together at the same time. So as long as you're following the calendar regulations and getting advice from the academic advising center or from your academic advisors within the faculty, you should be fine. But you're asking what programs, what major programs are within each of Bachelor of Science and the Bachelor of Arts. Oh, that can be
There's a
long.
long list of them, but no, they're generic. There's like history, linguistics, political science, all kinds of them. So your best bet is to just right there with Jen's too. There's a program page there, I think, on that
Yeah.
page there, and that lists all the possible majors of all of the programs. I think if you dig deep into
Yeah.
that one.
And they're all hyperlinked on each of the pages with a program summary for every single major across both of the or all of the programs there. So if it's a program that does offer a major or minor within that program, there will be the specifics for each of those majors and minors. If it's a program that doesn't have one, you will just see the program page information for that bachelor degree
And
specifically.
you'll see some programs kind of we call cross discipline. So like geography can be done as an arts or science. So I mean, you'll see some of our programs, and I think economics and computer science. There's a variety of them that kind of cross the streams, right? That allow you to take you can pick which discipline you want to do it in, versus having to pick being just the one choice.
And I'll
There's
also say as well with that, speaking of joint programs, if you're going to apply, you're going to apply to one of the programs, and then you're going to contact our office to add the second program.
Right.
Because I don't think you're going to see in the application that you can apply for a joint between arts and science. I think you have to apply for one.
Yeah.
Then you contact the registrar's office and you say, I would like to do a joint program in arts and science, and this is what I'd like to do. And so they won't be able to put you in the science major unless it gets approved. They can certainly put you in as Bachelor of Science. And then when you get declared in your major later, your student record will be updated with that program that you've been declared into. So the Academic Advising Center can help with that process.
In the event
in
that
terms of getting admitted into the science part, the science major. But in terms of admissions now, just like I said, pick one. Either you apply to Bachelor of Science or you apply to Bachelor of Arts, and then the other part gets put on as a secondary program in your student record.
Now, we do have a question here from a student who's looking at the Marine Institute and wants to know if the same thing happens for if you're applying into a Marine Institute program like nautical science, which the answer to that would be it's not the same process, right, Michelle?
Right. They don't have the same admission process at the Marine Institute. They don't have general admission and then competitive entry admission. They just have
Direct entry.
direct into the program. Like, well, I guess they're all competitive. I'm not sure, but there is no general admission piece for
And I will
that.
add that there's going to be a
Yes.
session right after this one on the Marine Institute. So your best bet would be kind of if you can, hang around and go to that session. And I actually think Mackenzie was in this session with us at one point in time, but there's going to be a full session on the Marine Institute. And admission into the Marine Institute diplomas, certificates, and technical diplomas, it's different than what we've been talking about today. And the process for doing that is different than what we've been talking about today. We've been talking about most of what we call our undergraduate bachelor degrees for admission to those programs at this session right now, but you will certainly get more on it in the next session if you hang around for that next session. All right. Another question here is, how will I know, I lost track of it, how will I know what type of documents are required and how do I submit them?
Well, first of all, if you are applying to a competitive entry program, you should be doing your research first before you put in your application so you're aware of what are the requirements, what documents you will need to submit. Some of them may require a reference. For example, music does have a requirement for reference. So you will have to get in touch with somebody who, in the case of music, someone who's been instructing you in your instrument, and ask them, would they be willing to be a reference for you for the Bachelor of Music? And you'd have to get their email address, because when you fill out the application for admission, it will ask you directly within the application to provide the name of your referee and their email address. And it won't let you continue to complete the application until you've provided that information. So that's the only one that you might come across with a reference for anyone who's applying direct from high school. But there's other programs. What can I think of? Nursing doesn't have any additional documents. They do have a space in the application if you do have some something you would like the admissions committee to know about you, and for your nursing application, there is a spot in the application where you can a text box there that you can fill in some information. If there's something you need to share with them, you can do that. It's not going to be required. It will let you continue to complete the application if you don't put anything in there.
Recreation, the swim
Yes,
stuff.
the phys ed will have a requirement for first aid. It will have a swim test
Well, I
requirement.
guess to the point too is like we'll send you out a notice, right? Like when we think you require documents, like we're going to send out notices to tell you what documents are required. So you'll get a list of the documents that we will need from you, and some links as to how to submit them as well. So we do try to send you out notice about what documents we do require. They do ask here, Michelle, about how do I send in my transcripts, and do they have to be official or unofficial?
For right now, for anyone who's in the high school system and is applying right now, you can send in your transcript, an unofficial transcript. So that's a copy of a transcript that you have in your possession. You can send it in to us, and you can upload it yourself through the application. So just as the other documents required for any competitive application, there will be a spot in the application where you can upload your own documents. So these would be considered unofficial documents that you yourself have in your possession that you are uploading to your application. And you can do that like right when you submit your application. When the payment is made, you'll have a button there that will take you back to your application, and you'll see there then there'll be a link that will become live, and it will be for supplemental items. If you click on that, that will tell you the list of documents that you can submit for your application. Some of them will be required documents, like someone who's applying to social work, for example, would have to upload a document related to their volunteer experience. But there's also spots there where students can upload their interim transcripts. So they would be unofficial, and we can make an early offer based on those documents. At the end of the school year, like anyone coming from high school with when they complete high school and the transcripts have been released, then that's when we should be receiving an official transcript from your school. So you have to make a request at your school to have your transcript, your final transcript, sent to Memorial, and they will send it to us directly through email if it's possible. admis.docs@mun.ca, that's on our website. So we like to have it come directly from the school, so it'll be considered an official document, and that's the one we'll use to make a verified admission.
Okay. All right. So I think we're just about out of time. I don't know if either one of you want to do a little quick summary or anything before we finish off the session.
Yeah, sure. I think
Yeah.
like the main things that I want to shout out before we leave is that ask us questions if you're really unsure about anything. If I threw up the admissions@mun.ca email in the chat, so just like grab that, copy paste it, put it in a document somewhere, take a screenshot, whatever you need, so that you have that on hand so you can get a hold of us. To scan that QR code and that so that you can get in contact with recruiters directly. So if you would like a more direct line that way, or just, you know, give us a call. We're happy to answer your questions. We don't want you to be navigating this in the dark.
I'll
Because
just
we
do a
like
quick
to.
pitch about the next 2 nights. So if you do have a chance, if you want to pop in to attend with this these sessions going on for the next 2 nights. Tomorrow night we're going to do specific academic programs like science, business, music, engineering, HK. So we're going to have people talking about admission to those particular programs as well as our support services. And then Thursday night, and there's going to be a student panel. And on Thursday night, there's another student panel and talking about academic programs such as education, pharmacy, arts, nursing, social work, and those who are still exploring. So we're going to finish out here at this room. This room is going to be used for the Marine Institute session next, I do believe. So we'll be signing off. But like I say, if you do have any questions, certainly email admissions@mun.ca or reach out to us and we'll certainly try to answer whatever questions you didn't get to today. All right. Thanks very much. And thanks to Jen and Michelle for presenting with us.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Bye now.
Bye.